Vikings Nation, what's going on? Are you ready for a draft night that could completely flip the future of the Minnesota Vikings? Because today we're diving into the wildest, boldest, most jaw-dropping dream scenarios that could send shockwaves through the NFL and set the Vikings up for something special. We're talking holy grail outcomes. The kind of Minnesota Vikings news that would have the entire fan base exploding in the comments section. The kind of twists that only happen when chaos unfolds above pick number 18. And let me warn you right now, some of this feels almost impossible. But that's what makes it so exciting. So buckle up, because if even one of these scenarios hits, Vikings fans might never forget this draft night. The Minnesota Vikings hold the 18th overall pick in April's draft, with 8 more selections after that. That's serious ammunition. After 4 years of questionable draft returns, this front office needs a clean, powerful hit. This draft feels mysterious. No clear direction. No obvious slam dunk target. And when things are unpredictable, that's when the draft board gets weird. That's when malarkey happens above you. And if chaos breaks out in the top 17, that's when Minnesota can strike. That's when dreams become possible. Let's start with the scenario that would instantly electrify this fan base. Imagine this: 17 teams pass on a dynamic running back, and somehow Jeremiah Love is sitting there at number 18. Back in November, when the Vikings were 4-8 after that brutal loss to the Seattle Seahawks, fans were dreaming about a top 10 pick. A premium slot to grab a true game-changing weapon. Then Kevin O'Connell rallied the squad. 5 straight wins, a winning record, and suddenly Minnesota slid to 18th. Out of prime RB territory, or so we thought. Now let's talk about Jeremiah Love. Explosive, vision, burst. The kind of runner who turns a 3-yard gain into 30. The kind of back who changes defensive game plans. The Vikings haven't had a young, elite, franchise-altering running back since the prime days of Dalvin Cook, and that started nearly a decade ago. Let that sink in. If general managers once again devalue running backs and let Love slip, Minnesota could land its version of Bijan Robinson or Ashton Jeanty right at 18. That would be a franchise-shifting moment. But what if the dream doesn't stop there? What if chaos hits the defensive side of the ball? Enter Sonny Styles, the athletic marvel, the linebacker who just tore up the NFL Combine and made scouts do double takes. At 6'5" and 244 pounds, he ran a 4.46 in the 40-yard dash. A 43.5-inch vertical, an 11'2" broad jump. That's not normal for an off-ball linebacker, that's superhero stuff. ESPN's Jeff Legwold highlighted how rare that vertical was for his position. Those are numbers that force general managers to rip up their draft boards. Now here's the crazy part. Linebackers sometimes slide because teams prioritize edge rushers and corners. If 17 teams talk themselves out of Styles, Minnesota would have zero choice. You sprint that card in. I don't care if the roster is full at ILB, you take that kind of athletic profile and figure it out later. Imagine Styles flying around in Brian Flores defense. Sideline to sideline, blitzing, dropping into coverage, creating chaos. Vikings fans would absolutely lose it. But wait, what if history repeats itself? Remember 2022. Everyone said there was no way Kyle Hamilton would fall. No chance he slips. He's a top 10 lock. And then he did. And the Vikings traded out of the pick that could have secured him. The rest? Painful history. Now fast forward to today. Caleb Downs. Elite range. Discipline. Instincts. He's widely projected as a top 5 pick. But what if teams overthink it again? What if quarterbacks rise? What if offensive tackles climb? What if someone reaches for a pass rusher? If Caleb Downs slides anywhere near 18, the Minnesota Vikings cannot hesitate. You make it right. You correct the Hamilton mistake. You secure your defensive anchor for the next decade. Downs patrolling the secondary in purple? That changes everything about this defense overnight. Now let's take a deep breath, because this next one is pure fantasy territory. The Joe Burrow scenario. Yes, that Joe Burrow. Franchise quarterback. Face of the Cincinnati Bengals. There were whispers in December about frustration, about long-term concerns. Realistically, A trade is incredibly unlikely because of contract implications and dead cap consequences. But just imagine your phone lights up one morning with breaking Minnesota Vikings news. Joe Burrow requests trade from the Cincinnati Bengals. Tell me Vikings Nation wouldn't explode. If that miracle ever happened, Minnesota would instantly become one of the most attractive destinations in football. Offensive weapons, a quarterback-friendly system, a creative head coach. Would it cost 3 first-round picks? Probably. Maybe more. But franchise quarterbacks don't become available. They are almost never on the market. And if lightning struck, if the Vikings pulled off something that bold, that would instantly reshape the NFC hierarchy. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these dream scenarios would you want the most? Jeremiah Love at 18? Sonny Styles sliding? Caleb Downs correcting history? Or the unthinkable Burrow trade? Drop your take in the comments right now. Let's turn this into the loudest Vikings discussion on YouTube. If you love Minnesota Vikings news, if you live and breathe Vikings football like I do, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with every Vikings fan you know. Draft night is coming. Chaos is coming. And if even one of these dreams becomes reality, Vikings Nation might finally get the moment we've been waiting for.